Markets are suffering heavy losses in the wake of Donald Trump's announcement of wide-ranging new tariffs. World leaders are also reeling from the scale of the challenges. Our North America correspondent Lauren Day joins us from Washington, D.C. Lauren, good morning. Just talk us through the reaction on the stock market. We've been dipping in and out of some live pictures and, goodness, in the United States in particular, it does not look good.
Absolutely, James. The fallout and the impact of so-called Liberation Day has been extremely dramatic and extremely immediate. The stock market has tumbled. We've seen the Dow Jones, the Nasdaq, the S&P 500 all fall dramatically this morning, and European shares have taken their biggest hit in 8 months, their biggest single-day hit on fears of this escalating trade war. Now, predictably, the Democrats are among the many people who've hit back at these announcements. Senator Chuck Schumer said that this was the dumbest decision that Donald Trump has ever made and that it was far, far worse than they had expected. He's also said that this would mark the largest tax hike on families since World War II. What's more surprising, though, is that some cracks also appear to be emerging among the Republican Party. Yesterday, we saw a handful of Republican senators vote in support of this bill that would effectively end the tariffs on Canada that had already been announced before so-called Liberation Day. Now, that won't happen in practical terms because the bill will now move to the House, which Republican leaders have more control in. But it is interesting because it suggests that there is a bit of disquiet in the Republican Party and that Donald Trump may be losing some support from within the party. What will now be interesting and what remains to be seen is whether he will also lose support from businesses that are reeling from the impacts of these tariffs, and also the voters, many of whom, of course, came out and voted for him because they wanted to see prices drop, they wanted to see inflation come down, which, of course, most economists are saying will not happen as a result of this.
So far, I know a lot of countries are still trying to get their head around exactly how they should be responding.
That's right. Global leaders are reeling from this as well. They're trying to figure out, I think, whether or not they want to retaliate or negotiate, although the White House has suggested that the possibility of doing deals is slim, even though Donald Trump, of course, is the famous deal maker. The White House has said that this is not a negotiation, this is a national emergency. Now, China has already come out and announced countermeasures, retaliatory measures, as has Canada, and the EU, which is America's biggest trading partner, but there's no details yet on what form that will take. Here's what some global leaders have had to say about these tariffs.
The decision announced last night was both brutal and unfounded. Unfounded because you don't correct trade imbalances by putting tariffs in place. The basics of economic theory show the opposite.
3 different sets of U.S. tariffs remain in place and will continue to pose significant threats to Canadian workers and Canadian businesses. They are all unjustified, unwarranted, and in our judgment, misguided.
We stand for multilateralism and free trade, and we will respond to any attempt to impose protectionism, which no longer has a place in today's world.
Now, despite all this backlash, the Trump administration is doubling down and defending these tariffs. We heard Donald Trump comment just a short time ago. He was boarding a flight for his golf course in Florida. In response to the market fallout, he said the markets are going to boom. His Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, has also said that this will force other countries to open their doors to US goods and, quote, stop picking on the US. Vice President J.D. Vance has also defended the tariffs, saying that Americans will just have to be patient to see the positive effects of these tariffs. Of course, we'll see how long that patience lasts, both with consumers but also businesses and the markets that are clearly feeling the effects of this before they even come into effect.